Well, there was an early morning press conference from the Prime Minister today confirming that Kevin Rudd will be departing the job as US Ambassador early, a year early. In fact, he'll be leaving in March. Joining me live now is the Shadow Home Affairs Minister, Jonathon Duniam. Kevin Rudd, no longer here to help anymore. What's your reaction to his departure? They insist, the government, that he wasn't pushed by the White House, that this was a decision of his own making.
Well, of course, we wish him well. And despite all of the ups and downs of the time that Kevin Rudd has been occupying the embassy in Washington, I have to say at the end of his time he has achieved some good things there, so I truly mean it. I hope he does go well into the future. What we do need now, though, from the government, given our relationship with the United States is at a critical juncture. We've got AUKUS on foot. There are a lot of goings-on around the planet the US are critically involved in. They're an important ally of ours. We need to know what the government's plans are with an appointment for a successor to Mr Rudd. We need someone who can continue to build that relationship, who'll provide stability and be that great diplomat that we need, that can work across the divide and certainly act in Australia's interest.
So much of the attention on Kevin Rudd's ambassadorship centred around his previous comments he'd made about Kevin Rudd. Do you think this time around it's a non-starter? Anyone who's been critical of the president? I mean, it'd be a pretty long list if that were to rule people out. Even former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, for example, that he would have his close relationship with Mr Trump in their time in office. He hasn't been overall 100% positive of everything, has he?
Indeed. Look, I think the government needs to take into account the need for us to have an uncomplicated relationship with the United States. So when we've got someone representing our country, we want them focused on the things that we want to grow, that we want to see progress in and strengthen our relationship with the United States. Less time worrying about what they might have tweeted some time ago. The government have their work cut out for them, finding someone that can fill that hole. And so we just hope it is someone that has our interests at heart and can do the job well.
Is it best fit, these sort of jobs, for a former Prime Minister? Scott Morrison's name was mentioned this morning to the Prime Minister at the press conference. Malcolm Turnbull's another one that springs to mind. Or is it better to have someone with, on-the-ground diplomatic experience?
Well, I think that obviously former heads of government are a good choice in the sense that they know how to operate at a very high level in the political realm. It is a matter for government who they choose. The test, though, is someone that can advance Australia's cause and get the right outcomes for our nation at the highest level, that can open doors with senators and congressmen and women, the president themselves, and have access to the White House. I think it is important that we have someone with stature that can deliver for Australia, and the government do need to act quickly, though, because we do need that certainty moving forward. We'll
see where that lands. Parliament's back here next Monday. I know you're here for the next couple of days scrutinising these crucial piece of legislation. The government's decided to put the two reforms together, gun changes and hate speech legislation. It's complicated law. It's going to be lots of pages. But it does present a difficult choice for the coalition here. The Nationals have concerns with the gun changes. They may not want to oppose the whole bill. How's this going to play out?
Well, it is complex, as you say, and we literally haven't had the bill for 24 hours. It's nearly 150 pages of legislation itself, and then a further roughly 350 pages of explanatory memorandum. Try and read and understand all of that in a 24-hour period so that we can do what we need to, and that is get this right. Yes, the matters are urgent, but we do need to ensure that we get the balance right. In terms of winding the bills and all of the different provisions together, we've been very clear that we have had concerns about doing it this way. To have hate speech and hate law provisions in the same bill as reforms to national gun law, we think is rather incongruous. So we'll work through that and we'll see where we land. But I will add, we've not been a part of drafting this legislation. We did not see it and have had no input into it. The first we saw of it was last night, which means our work starts now. And if the community, if stakeholders raise concerns, we are going to be hoping the government come up with solutions. They're the ones who've got the resources. They've had the time to get this right in the nation's interests.
It's not hardly the first government that ever put together an omnibus bill, as they're called, jamming different things together. I also wonder if it's hard for the coalition to mount the case that this is rushed, given the opposition leader has been out there publicly saying Parliament should have returned on Christmas Day, for example. You wanted this to be rushed.
Well, we wanted urgent action. The Prime Minister himself said that we needed urgent responses to what happened in Bondi. We don't in any way disagree with that. We also called for bipartisanship and cooperation. Now, we stand ready to work with the government. We are here now. We've got our hearings starting because we're available and have been calling for this in Canberra today on this legislation we've had for less than 24 hours. So while it's rushed and urgent, we do need to get it right. That balance is critical.
And I want to ask you about the detail here on hate speech. The Prime Minister today referring to, whilst it will be illegal to promote hate on the basis of race, it will not apply to comments when someone's directly quoting from a religious text for the purpose of teaching. Are you comfortable with that exemption?
Well, that exemption does need scrutiny. Who does it apply to? In what situation? What are the exceptions? Are we seriously just going to say, we'll put this provision in and leave it for the courts to decide, because that will be a lawyer's picnic, absolutely, and they'll do well out of it. So there are a range of concerns around that defence and how it applies and to whom it applies. It doesn't include religion as an attribute in terms of those offences. So there are a number of things we are concerned about there, a lot of definitional issues that we need to get into. Again, complicated legislation, a couple of days of hearings at the drop of a hat, and we are being cooperative, but the government have drafted this legislation. They have to get it right.
A final one on the gun reforms being proposed, the national buyback. The plan was for the states and territories to go 50-50 on the cost. We're already seeing the NT government and the Tasmanian government raise concerns about that. In Tasmania, where you're from, would you urge the state government to get on board here? This is about sharing the national cost. Why should it only be federal taxpayers who pick up the cost?
Well, I think Tasmania, who obviously have a very strong history when it comes to gun law reform, given what happened in Port Arthur, and it was the epicentre of the first tranche of reforms under John Howard. We know a thing or two down there about how to manage these things. I would wonder how much consultation was had before the announcement was made with states and territories. The federal government have a job to do, and that is to take everyone on the journey with them, not just lay it on the table and say take it or leave it. So the success here does rest on the federal government, and if they can get it right and do it properly, then everyone will get on board and follow them.
Shadow Home Affairs Minister Jonathon Duniam, appreciate your time. We'll let you get through those hundreds of pages. Thank you.